You're on the Unpopular Opinion Show with Johnny Caruso. Welcome to the show.
It was clear to court watchers like us that this was how this case was going to come out. Anybody who watched the argument before the First Department saw that this panel of judges was not sympathetic to Tish James. We've got a montage of questions. This is not Tish James arguing here. It's her deputy, Judith Avail. And as soon as she got up to the lectern, she had a hot bench, lots of questions, and none of them was particularly favorable toward her and Tish James's position. You're going to see this montage. I want the audience to know only the first judge who you will hear was appointed by a Republican. All the other judges on this court were appointed by Democrats. So this is a Democrat court that just found in favor of Donald Trump. But here's how the oral argument went a couple months ago, September of 24.
Judith Vail for the New York Attorney General's office. All of the defendants repeatedly violated...
Ms. Vail, can you identify any previous case in which the Attorney General sued under Executive Law 6312 to upset a private business transaction that was between equally sophisticated partners where the supposed victim had the ability and legal obligation to discover the allegedly misrepresented matters by conducting its own due diligence, where the supposed wrongdoer advised the supposed victim through written disclaimers to conduct its own due diligence and to draw its own conclusions, where the alleged misrepresentation almost entirely concerned inherently subjective valuations of properties and businesses.
Yes.
And where the victim never complained about any fraud in the transactional losses from it.
And I want to add to his question, and little to no impact on the public marketplace.
Well, maybe I'll take that first, Your Honor, and work backwards. There was absolutely a public impact and a public interest here. There are at least 4 different public harms from the kind of misconduct here.
The immense penalty in this case is troubling. So how do you tether the amount that was assessed by Supreme Court to the harm that was caused here, where the parties left these transactions happy about how things went down?
Well, disgorgement, Your Honor, looks at taking the gain away from the wrongdoer. And although this is a large number, it's a large number for a couple reasons. One, because there was a lot of fraud.
Stop 53.
Says he cannot come up with the cash to cover his $400 million plus bond in his New York fraud case.
And I can't wait to see the chains on Trump Tower, actually, on Fifth Avenue. I'm kind of excited about it.
Sunny Hostin should have been more worried about her husband's legal troubles and less focused on Donald Trump's. As it turns out, all these people wind up revealing themselves. Time reveals them, or in her case, their family members, for what they truly are, Phil.
Well, look, that's what we can expect out of The View because, you know, The View is The View, and we all know what that is. But what's more troubling to me is watching this assistant prosecutor from the AG's office make this ridiculous argument to the appeals court talking about fraud and disgorgement of ill-gotten gains when there was no actual fraud. Nobody was defrauded of a damn thing. There was not one nickel that was defrauded from any of these lenders. And so the whole thing is just built on a house of cards. Engeron, I think, has some responsibility here, too, because if you're the judge and the trial judge, you're supposed to make sure that this kind of farce doesn't happen in your courtroom. But he allowed it, and he was a part of it. And so what I want to know is why we are allowing these judges like this and prosecutors like this to stay involved in these cases. When Tish James goes out and makes all of these public comments about how she is focusing her efforts specifically on one individual that she is targeting for political reasons, how is that prosecutor allowed by the judge to remain on the case? Because if that's not bias...
Thank you for tuning in to the show. If you agree or disagree, leave your comments in the comments section. But before you check out, give us a subscribe and hit that notification bell.